Today on the channel, my top 10 miscellaneous action figures of 2021. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for something special, a special countdown video as we're doing the best of 2021 in action figures here on the channel in the month of December. And today we're taking a look at some items and some lines that maybe I don't collect everything of. We're talking about like Marvel Selects, DC McFarlane, we're talking about Mortal Kombat, we're talking about Storm Collectibles. Different properties that we love figures for that I'm not all in at, that I really couldn't do justice to a true top 10. So I wanted to do a top 10 countdown of miscellaneous action figures in 2021. I thought it'd be something different. Things from a lot of different lines, some figures I just absolutely love that don't quite fit into a typical top 5, top 10 list for what I'm doing on the channel. So I figured it would be something different. As usual, once you get the hang of what I'm doing here, make sure you get your list together, put them in order in the comments down below. So without any further ado, let's dig into it. My top 10 miscellaneous action figures of 2021. All right, let's kick it off at number 10, and we're kicking it off with a line that some of us love, some of us hate. Not a lot of people are in the middle, and I think when they're really good, they're great. When they're really bad, they are the hottest of garbage. And what am I talking about? We're talking about Marvel Select, Diamond Select, Marvel superhero figures. Some are amazing, and we'll talk about some more on this very video, and some are just not worth your time at all and are very easy passes. But number 10 is one that flew under my radar a little bit. I had no plans on getting this, but then I went to a local toy store, saw this on the pegs, and I could not refuse, and I'm happy I picked it up. It is a beautiful figure, and without any further ado, let's take a look at Spider-Man coming in at number 10 for the Marvel Selects. Now, we unboxed this Spider-Man on the channel, and it is a classic Spider-Man. I always say when you close your eyes and you picture something, what do you think of? When I close my eyes and I think Spider-Man, this is exactly what I think of. So I absolutely do love this one. Got nice double jointed knees, nice articulation for a Marvel Select figure, and it is Spider-Man. It's the majority of the world's Spider-Man when they think Spider-Man. It's just very, very classic. It's just a classic inspired Spider-Man, and like I said, it really flew under my radar. I didn't think much of it until I saw it in person, and I could not refuse this one. I could not pass it up, and I still love it to this day. Only gripe I'd have about this, and I really can't say it's a gripe because this is Marvel Select scale. I just wish they would have scaled this down just a little bit more. And I think you'd have even more Marvel Legend buyers crossing over to pick this up if it was just a hair smaller. We know how hard it is to get that retro Spider-Man from the animated series wave out there. This could have really filled a gap in a lot of people's collections that missed out on that one. But being the size it is, it struggles a little bit. But with the old proverbial smoke and mirrors, you can bend him in some positions to make him look a little bit smaller than he is. And you can put him in your Marvel Legends if you really want to. So number 10 for me, the Marvel Select Spider-Man. All right, we're at the number 9 point. The number 9 one is one we recently unboxed here on the channel within the last month or so. A sleeper set that I think a lot of people didn't know about, weren't aware of, never heard of. And I can understand that because this scene this figure is based on was only in 30 seconds of the movie. Yes, you heard that right, 30 seconds. And we got not just one, but 4 action figures from it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about NECA. NECA, the best in horror figures out there, at least in the stuff you can buy at your Targets, Walmarts, toy shops, etc. But we're talking about American Werewolf in London. And I just grabbed my favorite one of the bunch, the Werewolf head. This is genius. Now, NECA, they give us a lot of our horror favorites of all time, including our NECA Ninja Turtles. We also love those as well. But they give us a lot of horror properties out there, be it Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, Leatherface out there. A lot of the staples of the horror genre, but they branched out into some deep cuts out there. We did get NECA American Werewolf in London figures. This is really cool. No names on this one. It's only 30 seconds. It was a dream sequence. So there's no name for this character, but what NECA was smart is they knew the horror collectors are an interesting bunch. They love their horror stuff. They love to buy their properties. So they made this a 4-in-1 with 3 different heads, 4 heads total in the pack. making people buy 4 of these, people like me, and I love stuff like that. And I love the idea of putting all 4 of these guys together on a shelf. Just looks fabulous. Can't wait to get the Werewolf, like I said. But kudos to NECA making a 4-in-1 box here of a character that doesn't even have a name. And that's some of the deep cut stuff we expect from NECA. And that I love a deep cut and I appreciate a deep cut. And I'm glad they did this one out there. Like I said, there's only a couple of things, when I said in the review, a couple of things that creeped me out a little bit as a kid. And this was one of them. It wasn't this character, but the movie and the transformation scene and stuff. So definitely holds a piece of Kyle's 80s heart out there. So the American Werewolf in London, 4-in-1 pack, comes in at number 9 for me. All right, we're at the number 8 point. Hopefully you're getting your list together. Hopefully your mind's spinning on some different things out there. But number 8 comes from Storm Collectibles. And Storm Collectibles, some of the finest figures you will find out there. Between wrestling, Golden Axe, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, they got a lot of good properties a lot of fans love out there, and I am no different. I've dabbled in many lines. By no means am I a completist in any of them, but one I am complete in is Jushin Thunder Liger. He is the lone wrestling figure represented on this top 10 countdown of 2021 of the year miscellaneous figures. I could almost do a top 5 Jushin Thunder Liger figures of 2021. As we know, they've been pumping out Jushin Thunder Liger figures like crazy. There is many of them. Many were released in 2021, but there was one specific one that just rose above the rest, I guess, in 2021 for me. Which one am I talking about? I don't know the technical name, but it's kind of like the Devil Liger, I guess you'd call him. All in red, all ready to go. Satan's best friend, old Jushin Thunder Liger right here. But I just like this. I like all the red on it, the black and the gold. Just really pops out, and have the new wave of Ligers we got in 2021. This one stood the tallest for me and stood out above everybody else. And that is why he comes in at number 8 on my top 10 list. All right, we're at the number 7 point of the countdown here. And number 7, we return to Marvel Select Diamond Select figures. Like I said, when they're really good, they're good. When they're bad, they're bad. And this one was good. And this one I got my pre-orders in for very early, and then it got delayed and delayed and delayed. And this was one of the COVID issues of 2021. There was a lot of things affected by COVID delays. This figure was one of those, but I finally did get it. And he still is a bit challenging. I don't see him around a whole lot right now. But it is definitely a figure worth picking up. And at number 7 for me would be the Marvel Select Titanium Man. And my favorite Marvel Select figures, probably like a lot of you guys out there, are their big figures. Their big, bulky figures are their best figures by far, if you ask me. You can mix these guys in with the Marvel Legends. That's what I like the most about it. Big figures like Juggernaut, Abomination, Titanium Man, Hulk, some of the other ones, they do scale because those characters have different heights to them. So I'm all for something like this Titanium Man. He did come with another head, which I'm not a big fan of this head. This head I do like, but one of Iron Man's villains out there, I just had to have this one, and we've had a lot of Winter Guard over the last couple of years, and he fits in perfectly with that team there. So I was very happy to finally get this on the shelf, and like I said, a big, hulking, giant figure always looks great on your shelf. Everybody loves a big figure, especially me, and that is why Titanium Man comes in at number 7 on our top 10 countdown. All right, here we are at the number 6 spot, almost halfway in top 10 miscellaneous figures of 2021 as voted by me. And number 6 comes from our friends at Super 7. Sometimes they're the bane of my existence. Sometimes I'm just over the moon in love with them. It's always tough waiting a year for your figures, and then sometimes with the delays and production problems, stuff like that, you're looking at a year and a half to maybe 2.5 years if you're a Thundercats Series 2 fan out there. But number 6 for me comes from the musical genres of Super 7. And I should say I've unboxed all these figures that we're talking about today on the channel. So you can look up my reviews for a deeper insight, deep dive into these figures. But number 6 for me comes from the music headspace. I really hope Super 7 continues with some of our heavy metal icons out there, as I'm probably going to get every single one of those guys in figure form. But we did get 2 this year. I'll call that a win. Hopefully more to come soon. But number 6 for me comes from Papa Emeritus 1, the Ghost line, I guess we'll call it, of figures. Beautiful. This was a long wait. This was about a year, 13 months or so, something like that there. but a very cool first entry, first or second entry, depending who you ask. I don't know the timetable, but an early entry into their heavy metal figures. Double robes on this one, extra heads, accessories, everything you would expect from Super 7, all wrapped up into Papa right here. I have to think they're going to continue with other Papas in the line. This one being my favorite Papa by far. I truly do miss the mysterious nature of early Ghost. I was a big fan of early Ghost. I still like him. I'm still going to check him out, but after seeing him in concert 10, 12 times by now, I think, plus following it from the beginning, it feels like it's lost its way a little bit. And the genie is out of the bottle, I guess what I would say with Ghost. But I was still very happy to get our first incarnation of Papa in figure form via Super 7. Definitely, no matter what you think about him, one of the best in the game for action figures. So that's where that comes in. At number 6, Papa Emeritus 1. All right, we're at the halfway point here. Hopefully you got your list together. Put it in the comments down below. Can't wait to see what you guys think of as far as miscellaneous lists this year. But number 5 for me comes from a challenging line. A line I was all in on, a portion of all in, I guess we'll say, to all the way going to It's So Hard to Say Goodbye. And what am I talking about there? I'm talking about the Hasbro Lightning Collection. Just kind of ups and downs, mixed bags, some hot garbage along the way, to be honest with you. I decided, you know what, it's time to get out of the Power Ranger Lightning Collection, except for some key villains. And what am I talking about at number 5? This is one of the best figures of the year, and this is the best Power Ranger figure from the Hasbro Lightning Collection so far. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Tango Warrior. An amazing army builder, which I love an army builder, you guys know that. But this thing is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It feels like you're cheating Hasbro when you pick this up for 18, 20 bucks out there because of the articulation on the mouth, the different colors here, the kind of golden, not golden, but silverish, sparkly colors to it. Just an awesome bird creature that feels like it would be at home in your Marvel Legends setup. Maybe a weird G.I. Joe setup you got going on out there. Of course, the Power Ranger setup. Just a fabulous figure that over-exceeded my expectations by a long shot. I mean, I thought this would be pretty cool. This is about where I jumped out of the Power Ranger universe back in the day. I'm excited for an Ivan Ooze figure one of these days. Hopefully that happens. But I am all out on the Hasbro Lightning Collection, like I said, except for things like this. Putties that I have attachment to, those putties. The Tango Warriors, I'm going to pick stuff like that up. Pudgy Pig, I have him on order. Some of these other things I have on order, but this Tango Warrior could not be beat. I had to buy a couple of these. Like I said, it is an army builder, but I am all in on the Super 7 Power Ranger line. I think that is more akin to what I'm looking for in my Power Rangers. So look to that in 2022 as far as Power Ranger talk on the channel. But 2021 couldn't go by without the Tango Warrior being number 5 on my list. All right, we're at the number 4 spot on the list. Can you believe it? We're already to number 4 here. In number 4, we journey back to Super 7. And Super 7 heavy metal figures. Talked about it with Papa and Ghost at number 6. Well, number 4 for me was another one. It was a year wait, but man, that wait was worth it. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about one of the all-time greats in the heavy metal genre, King Diamond, the falsetto to die for. And I understand King Diamond, Merciful Fate is an acquired taste for a lot of heavy metal fans out there. I would never recommend somebody checking out heavy metal to go straight into King Diamond or Merciful Fate. You got to get used to it. You got to build the building blocks with the foundations, the Iron Maiden, the Judas Priest, the Motorheads of the world. Deep Purple would be a good start. Start with some of that stuff. Work your way into the thrash genre and some of the other genres of heavy metal. But man, you cannot doubt that King Diamond was made for action figures. He was made for heavy metal. And I think with all things said and done, he is, to me especially, one of the greatest personalities we've ever had in heavy metal with different looks throughout the years. And you guys know I'm a sucker for face paint. I'm a sucker for heavy metal. I'm a sucker for the Danish people, apparently, because he is a Dane. And we do have the same last name. Spelled different, but I won't hold it against him. But King Diamond, I was so happy to get this. When they announced this, I couldn't believe it. And ever since this was announced, I've been having my fingers crossed. Are we going to get a Ryan James Dio? Can we get a Lemmy? Can we get a Geezer Butler and Tony Iommi and an Ozzy Osbourne? Can we get a Rob Halford? I'm hoping Super 7's listening. I hope the sales were good on these because I would love to see more heavy metal characters in my list for years to come. I love heavy metal. I love the idea of heavy metal Super 7 figures. fingers crossed we get more of them. But King Diamond, slam dunk, totally iconic. I'm glad they put it in the line. And like I said, you can check out my review on the channel that I did on this little deeper dive out there. But number 4 for me, old King Diamond. All right, here we are. We're at the final 3 of my top 10 miscellaneous figures of 2021. Put yours down below. I guess everybody has a different definition for miscellaneous figures because there are people that are all in on the DC line and maybe they dabble in Marvel Legends. So if you want to mix yours up, it doesn't have to be the lines I'm talking about here. Do it however you want to do it, but just put it in order. That's all I can ask. That's all I can ask. But we'll have a lot more top 10s, top 5 lists throughout December of 2021. As we got to go through all the lines I collect and a lot of you guys collect as well. But number 3, we're going to a Build-A-Figure. When I think Build-A-Figure, I usually think Marvel Legends. But there's other companies that do Build-A-Figures out there. And one of those companies is McFarlane. McFarlane Toys, one of the most interesting toy lines of all time. I think when history is done, people will obviously talk about Mattel, they'll talk about Hasbro, but McFarlane definitely deserves a seat at the table for what he ushered in the 90s to the action figure game, taking it from just thinking of 100% child kids toys to this day and age, 50-50, if not more for the adult collectors, it seems like it these days. But McFarlane put his hat into the DC line, of course, and he put his line into the Build-A-Figure line. I've got some gripes about some of the DC figures, and as you guys know, I'm not a huge DC guy, so maybe my opinion isn't even warranted at all. But when I see a figure that is good, I don't care what line it is, I know I like it. Even if I have little to no understanding of the character, sometimes you got to call a spade that, man, this is a cool looking character. This is something I need on my shelf. And that's exactly what I had to do here. And you probably know where I'm going, but we're talking from the Suicide Squad. We're talking about King Shark. I was so over the moon with this figure. I bought that entire Suicide Squad wave just so I could build this figure. That's what I wanted. I should have bought the Walmart exclusive gold label version. For whatever reason, I didn't. I'm still on the lookout. I might pick that one up down the line. But I just love this King Shark. Something about a big figure, a big shark figure, a big amphibious creature with teeth, like a shark. Suicide Squad, Sylvester Stallone voicing him. This is really shaping up to something Kyle's all about, and of course I am. I was very excited to get this one. It's just really cool. It's a cool chunk of plastic to put on your shelf. People that don't know anything about this, let's say your grandma comes over, she doesn't know the Suicide Squad, she doesn't know King Shark, but she sees this on your shelf, she says, whoa, look at that shark thing. It's an eye-appealing figure, a beautiful figure, possibly the best Build-A-Figure McFarlane's ever done. At least for me it is. This is just what I want, and for somebody being outside of kind of this universe, it's interesting. It brings me into that universe, and King Shark rolls off my tongue a lot easier than it did 10 years ago. That's for sure. So number 3 for me, King Shark, DC McFarlane. All right, we're down to the final 2. The final 2 figures in my top 10 list here today, and number 2 comes from McFarlane once again. Yes, Todd McFarlane, like I touched on previously, he changed the game in the 90s. Changed the game for a collector like myself. Helping me go from a teenage collector that maybe things were waning a little bit, I was getting older, to, whoa, these aren't really toys anymore. They're statues, they're dark, they're scary, there's a bit of danger to them, I guess, maybe is what you could say. So Todd McFarlane did a lot for the action figure, and I will always put him on the Mount Rushmore of toy companies, manufacturers, presidents, CEOs, whatever you want to call it. He did a ton for the comic book industry, and especially, in my case, the action figure game. But one thing he brought to the table in the 90s that swooped old Kyle off his feet and never change, never leave, as one might say, he brought Spawn to the world, and I was all in from day one on Spawn, followed it up through the first, I don't know how many, 50 comic books, maybe more than that, through the animated series on HBO, through the movies, and of course the action figure lines and all of his lines around it. So I have a lot of fondness for the 90s Spawn line, and when I found out Target originally was getting the exclusive Spawn figures, or at least first window of exclusivity, I was through the moon. I couldn't believe it. I had no plans to be all in, but the quality of some of these and just the characters I know and love brought me to thinking where, as of right now, I am a completist on this line. But what figure do you think won me over this year? If you guys saw my review, you probably know. But coming in at number 2 for me, from the Spawn McFarlane line, It's got to be that Violator. You guys know I love a demonic character. I love a big figure. I love a beautiful looking figure, and that's what this Violator is. This is the Violator I dreamed of back in the day. Big, brooding, hulking Violator figure. Just a beautiful chunk of plastic here. Displays beautifully. Almost looks like a Rancor. I forget who told me. Somebody was at my house and said, oh, is that a Rancor? Well, it kind of does look like a Rancor, but it is not a Rancor. It is the Violator. As we all know, the Violator. We had many Violators back in the 90s in the McFarlane toy line. But this one is the granddaddy of them all. The Violator you have to have. There is an upcoming variant, bloody version. I'm trying to do everything in my power not to buy that one, but we'll see. It might go on clearance one day, or there'll be a hot sale, and I'll swoop in and here I am, 2 Violators, but we'll see. But as far as this one sits, one of the biggest surprises of 2021 in the action figure game for me, this Violator, fabulous. A fabulous figure, and that's why it is number 2 for me. But what is number 1? Any guesses? Well, it's up next. All right, we've come to the end of the video as we have went through number 10, and now we're at number 1 in my top 10 miscellaneous figures of 2021. And like I said before, make sure you put yours down below. But number 1 for me comes from Marvel Select again. And this very well could be my Marvel figure of the year. Yes, we're doing a top 5 Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures. We're doing a top 5 MCU, top 10 Marvel Legends. Other videos on the channel, but if you throw all things Marvel in together, this very well could be my Marvel figure of 2021. And what is it? I'm sure a lot of you guys know. It is the Incredible Hulk. Marvel Select Incredible Hulk, an amazing figure. Beautifully huge, big, hulking like the Hulk should be. Beautiful head sculpt. Beautiful coloring, the purple pants. This is Hulk how I know him. I always say it like I talked about that Spider-Man. When you close your eyes and what do you think of? This is what I think of come to form in plastic into an action figure, and that's what this Marvel Select Hulk is. Talk about an amazing figure that from the get-go was extremely hard to get. Still hard to get now. I gotta think in 2022 these are going to come back in full force. I don't know if they were up for the demand. And one of the things that makes a Marvel Select so good in my eyes is, can it be scaled with Marvel Legends? And we talked about it. Size-wise, Hulk's all over the place. This does work for me with Marvel Legends. Just an absolutely beautiful figure. Definitely deserved number 1 on my miscellaneous list, top 10. And then, like I said, if I had to do an all-in Marvel figures for the year, this very well could be my number 1 Marvel figure. This is that good. He does come with a second head of like kind of a robot Hulk head. So if you want another point of difference, say you really like your Marvel Legend Hulk, keep him there and turn this into a robot Hulk. So it's got that extra playability factor as well. I'm not here for that cyber head. It didn't do a lot for me. I like this just as plain Jane Hulk. I think I'm using this in my Defenders display. This is my Defender Hulk is how I'm using it. But it is great. I can't recommend this Hulk strong enough. I definitely recommend you jump out, pick this bad boy up. You won't regret it. You won't regret it on this one. So that's number 1 for me, the Incredible Hulk from Marvel Select. What say you? Put your top 10 list below. Interested to hear what your top 10 miscellaneous figures. And I'm interested to see, like I said earlier, some people, Marvel Legends may be their miscellaneous line they dabble in. Some might be G.I. Joe. So you can put yours in there, but, it's just an interesting thing, these top 10 lists. And we always got to look back, reminisce about 2021 figures, and then get ramped up and ready for 2022 and all the new product we'll get in the new year. So put your comments down below. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of countdown lists in the month of December 2021, and I'd love for you guys to be there with your list as well. So make sure you do that. And then, of course, follow me on social media, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and, of course, ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. Support the channel. So for Hulk and all my other friends we talked about today, I am Kyle. I will see you guys all real soon.